Right now at 6, ICE agents detained a Gresham family who were trying to get their 7-year-old daughter emergency treatment.
These people are not the worst of the worst.
Plus, the historic winter storm set to hammer millions of Americans.
I got batteries, I got lights, I got lanterns.
Matt's latest forecast and how the weekend is shaping up in the Northwest. And later.
And so I appreciate KGW highlighting that issue for us.
A KGW investigation leads to a guilty plea as a local fitness coach admits he ripped off his clients. Good evening. And first at 6, federal agents have detained a Gresham family with a pending asylum claim while they were apparently taking their 7-year-old daughter to the hospital. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Christine Pitawanich. Tonight, the whole family is in a Texas detention center. Celine Stevens is live outside Adventist Health. Celine, this all happened close to the scene where Border Patrol shot 2 people a couple weeks ago.
Christine, it did. And according to Representative Dexter, it happened less than 1,000 feet from that area. But Dexter's been in contact with a friend of the family, and she says that the parents are trying to take their 7-year-old daughter to the hospital for an unrelenting nosebleed. But when they arrived, they were detained, and they're now being held in that detention facility in Texas.
This is absolutely unethical.
Representative Maxine Dexter sharing that last Friday. Dariani Liseth Gonzalez de Crespo and Yohendry de Jesus Crespo were detained by federal agents while taking their 7-year-old to the hospital.
And they literally were trying to get their 7-year-old who was having a unrelenting nosebleed medical attention, and they were surrounded by ICE agents without a warrant and were detained as they were trying to get care for their child.
Friends of the family contacted the Portland Immigrant Rights Coalition. They say this is the first time they've been able to confirm a child being taken into custody with their family in Oregon.
To think that you're going to get medical help for your child and instead being snatched away from the medical facility and transported without access to a doctor is horrifying.
The daughter's condition worsening briefly.
We had a medical consultation yesterday. My chief of staff is a pediatric nurse and was able to inquire because their daughter had a fever for several days.
The ICE detainee locator shows the mother is being held at a detention center in Texas, with Dexter confirming the family is together.
What we know is that they have an active asylum case. They have a 2028 immigration court date. They have no criminal history that we are aware of.
The hospitals should be safe places where people can come and get treatment and not be afraid of the repercussions of ICE, acting in these predatory ways.
Adventist Health, which was the scene of the shooting involving 2 Venezuelan immigrants and federal agents earlier this month, wrote in a statement in part that, "We have no information regarding this family, including any arrest or detention that may have occurred in our parking lot. No law enforcement agency contacted us, and we did not coordinate with any agency."
These people are not the worst of the worst. These are not the criminals that we were told that the immigration enforcement was going to be detaining.
So according to Dexter and Perk, that child is now stable, and again, the family is being held together in that detention facility in Texas. Now, I heard from the Department of Homeland Security earlier today, who sent me a statement which reads in part that they arrested the couple, who are, quote, 2 illegal aliens from Venezuela, along with their minor child in Portland, Oregon. These parents illegally entered U.S. with their daughter in 2024 through the disastrous CBP One app and were released into the country by the Biden administration. Any application for asylum does not preclude immigration enforcement. Back to you.
Celine Stevens reporting. Thank you, Celine. Forecasters say ice, snow, and dangerously cold temperatures will sweep over the country tonight and go through this weekend.
It turns out more than 170 million people are already under some type of winter weather warning. The area in question here stretching from New Mexico to the northeast and into Canada. Texas is one of many states to preemptively declare a disaster, with state and local officials nationwide now worried about severe power outages.
There are certain things that we always keep up. Number one, we're looking at grid conditions from ERCOT.
Several airlines are allowing passengers to rebook or cancel flights. United, Delta, American, Alaska, and Southwest Airlines are all offering options for customers to change plans. They're also waiving rebooking fees.
Sounds like a mess. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Matt Savino for a closer look at the track of this storm.
Yeah, David, there's going to be about 200 million people impacted by this weather system. It is broad, as we just saw there. Here are the current temperatures around the country. It's -12 in Minneapolis. It's -9 in Chicago. St. Louis is 4. Wichita is 4. So that's how far south this really cold Arctic air has made it so far, but it's not done. It's going to keep pushing south. And now we're going to see the moisture that's over the southwest and now over Texas and Oklahoma begin to form up into a new storm that rolls on through the south and then off the east coast. So we'll see this precipitation spread from Texas and Oklahoma up into northern New England by the end of the weekend and early next week. And this is a long duration situation because even when the precipitation ends, the cold weather stays in place. So the places that get ice, severe icing from freezing rain, like a ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch across Dixie, they will lose power. As we well know, when you get an ice storm, the power lines just come down and they may be without power for days. And I know they're moving crews from places like Florida up into other areas of the south that are going to get hit by this to help out with what we know will be a really, really bad situation. So the winter storm warnings are go from New Mexico to New Hampshire and Maine, which is really quite remarkable there. And they may see as much as 18 inches of snow across the inland Northeast. At New York City, 10 inches even near the coast. So again, are really brutal conditions back there, and it stays cold after the precipitation ends. Guys?
Going to be a whopper of a storm. Thanks, Matt.
In your headlines, a Portland woman will spend 10 years in prison in connection with the death of her 4-year-old son. A judge sentenced 29-year-old Angelina Minor this morning on charges, including DUI and first-degree manslaughter. Police say back in 2024, Minor's blood alcohol was more than 4 times the legal limit when she got into a crash and left the scene. Minor then drove over a median, then into oncoming traffic before colliding with another car head-on, killing her son, Kingston.
This was one of the worst cases, I think, that we've prosecuted as a manslaughter in our office. It's a tragedy, but the vulnerability of the child victim, the very high blood alcohol concentration, the prior DUI conviction, all of those things were a confluence of both very, very egregiously bad facts combined with an enormous sense of sadness for the loss of a child.
Police found an empty liquor bottle in the car. Kingston was on probation when the crash happened.
In Hillsborough, residents scrambled to safety this morning when a fire broke out at their apartment building. Authorities say the blaze sparked just before 4:30 on Northwest Bailey Avenue, and it turns out the flames from the fire were so large the people living nearby thought there was another fire. Hillsborough Fire says 8 adults and 5 children will now have to find somewhere else to stay. No word yet on the cause.
Police are looking for the people responsible for smashing out car windows and stealing items in the Goose Hollow neighborhood. It happened last night near Southwest 15th and Jefferson. You can see some of the damage. Police tell us 4 cars were hit. We spoke to one of the victims this afternoon.
They're just putting bricks through cars. They're not like taking anything. They're just straight up vandalizing cars. Like they vandalized 2 cars that didn't take anything. I think I was the only one that lost like 2 Columbia jackets, a blanket, and like water bottles. They like vandalized like my stainless steel water bottles, like they shattered it.
Police found nearby surveillance video, but the quality was too poor to identify the suspects.
And Intel stock had its worst day on Wall Street since 2024, a day after delivering its fourth quarter earnings. Shares on the Nasdaq plunged 17% after it warned of a supply shortage. Intel CEO telling investors that the company would not be able to meet full demand for its products. Over the last year, Intel shares have rallied more than double on hopes of a turnaround.
To an update now from Portland police on the search for the suspect who shot 2 officers in Northeast Portland on Monday.
Authorities say they've already received some 180 tips. Let's bring in John Adams live downtown after hearing from detectives. John?
Yeah, David and Christine, the detective I spoke with today says this has been an all-hands approach from everyone working at the Bureau, trying to piece together pieces of evidence to try to find out who the shooter is and where they might be. Sergeant Detective Matt Jacobson says the Bureau believes the suspect is still likely armed and dangerous and wants to remind the community to be vigilant and report anything that may help investigators. Of those 180 tips that have come in, 150 of them have been considered credible and actionable. The incident happened Monday night near Northeast 17th and Clackamas after officers responded to a call of someone threatening another person with a knife. When the officers arrived, the suspect opened fire, hitting them both. Jacobson tells us it's always a concern in situations like this that a suspect has left town, but says there is no information to support that at this time.
We encourage everybody to continue sending in tips. We are looking into those thoroughly, and I want to just make it very clear that we will not stop until we find this person.
Well, in his newsletter released today, Portland Mayor Keith Wilson is asking the public to call 911 and report any information they may have about the shooter. There is a $2,500 reward for crime tips about information leading to the arrest of the shooter, and there is also a reward from the National Police Association as well on top of that. David, Christine.
John Adams downtown. Thanks, John.